Tragically, the last commercial duck farm on Long Island in New York has just been ordered to kill all 100,000 ducks. Yes, you heard that correctly. Sadly, Crescent Duck Farm, who has been in business since 1908 and is about 66 miles west of New York City, has just received this crushing news. I know a lot of you are going to be watching this after the live ends. I'll be commenting down below and responding to your comments and your reactions. My name's Jordan Wright with Jordan's Backyard Chickens. And if you have a suggestion for a future video, I'd love for you to leave it down in the comments. And if you are interested in more poultry and chicken videos, jump over to my YouTube page if you're not already on there, and I'd love for you to subscribe and join my flock. Guys, we need to talk about exactly why they had to eliminate their ducks. How this disease has been able to spread so rapidly, in some ways that you can prevent this disease from destroying your birds. But first, I think we owe Crescent Duck Farm a nod to their family farm, one that has been in their family for 117 years. And during my research, one that you can really feel the passion that they have for what they do. Crescent Duck Farm was started by Henry Corrin in 1908. At the time, Long Island, New York was a massive hub for raising market ducks, producing 2/3 of all of the ducks produced in the United States. Now operated by Doug Corrin and his sons Blake and Pierce, they have outlasted all the other Long Island, New York duck farms by keeping true to their core values and trying to produce their own things to keep their costs down, like owning their own feed business and their own waste treatment facility. The Corrin family prided themselves on producing better tasting ducks that yielded a better meat to fat ratio and a large breast muscle, the most desired part of any bird. In fact, their goal was to produce a duck that had at least an inch thick breast on every single duck that was processed. Today, Crescent Duck Farms produces 4% of all duck meat consumed in the United States. Unfortunately, that may all have come to a devastating end. After noticing signs of illness in their flock, the test results have come back. And on January 17th, according to the Suffolk County Department of Health, it was positive for avian influenza. And sadly, since the death rate of birds with avian influenza is nearly 100%, the government gives farms that find themselves in this position, like Crescent Duck Farm, no choice but to quickly and humanely euthanize all the birds to try to prevent the virus from spreading. And although I could not even begin to bring myself to be in their shoes and imagine the pain that they are feeling. At least Crescent Duck Farm was able to keep some of the eggs from their ducks. But they have a long road ahead of them, and I am sure many questions that they are asking themselves. And it all starts with the barn cleanup, which it looks like they are following all of the government regulations and procedures to hopefully be able to reopen. Unfortunately, avian influenza is not new. In fact, the first known case was in Hong Kong in 1977. So we have a vast amount of knowledge on how this disease is spreading. You may be wondering how avian influenza spreads clear across the country so randomly. And unfortunately, this is because it's in the wild bird population. Infected birds come in contact with non-infected birds, and that is the leading cause for contact and spread of this virus. Also, the avian influenza virus, or H5N1, can be spread through contact with their feces and contact with other contaminated surfaces. You may remember poultry at fairs and other poultry shows being shut down in the United States in 2015 and 2022, depending on which part of the country you live in. This was caused by avian influenza. Unfortunately, though, now due to a different mutation of the H5N1 virus, it has crossed species and has now had reported cases in dairy cattle as of March 2024. And this zoonotic disease also means that while rare, it does possess the ability to jump from an infected bird or dairy cattle to a human. But luckily, there are some easy ways to try to prevent this. By using good biosecurity habits, we can try to prevent H5N1 from getting into our barns. We want to do everything we can to keep wild birds away from our poultry barns and away from our birds by using things such as screens and nets and fences. And of course, ensure that all of your poultry care products, like a feeder or a water, are clean and sanitary. But something that a lot of people don't think about and may not think about is, when is the last time that you sanitized your wheelbarrow, your clothes, and your shoes in between different barns for those of us who have multiple barns for birds? We want to make certain that we are doing that, as that is another great thing and great practice for biosecurity. Also, make certain that you're always washing your hands after handling your birds and feeding and watering your birds. And this, of course, may not be the best time to borrow poultry equipment from others that you may not know what their biosecurity situations are. Now, states have started to ban poultry shows and dairy cattle shows from being held this year. California is one of the first states to ban poultry and dairy cattle shows and sales. But if your state is still open to showing and you are planning on entering birds and showing birds, just make certain that you have a quarantine spot and you are practicing good biosecurity when you come back into your barn. A great biosecurity and great quarantine action is if you are bringing birds back to your house. If you have a different building that you could put those birds that just went to the show in, that way you can monitor them for 7 weeks or a month before you reintroduce them into your flock. You should definitely be doing it anyways, even when the cases of H5N1 aren't as rapid, but definitely right now I would highly suggest it to be done. One dangerous thing though, and thought that I have seen commented, is that this is only a thing that commercial barns have to worry about, which could not be further from the truth. The sad truth, and the only reason that the poultry commercial barns are really in the news, is that is the headlines, because not many of us have 100,000 birds in our backyard, or they have more probably than a couple hundred birds in our backyard. And the other thing is, I don't know a whole lot of people that have chickens in their backyard that are letting the government come onto our property whenever they think they need to, and or testing every single time a bird gets sick or a bird dies, that bird gets tested for a cause of death. So if you enjoy watching people who talk about poultry and have a vast interest in helping you get better and achieve your goals, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel and catch my next video. I hope you have a nice day. Bye.